family, welcome back to my channel. I'm sending you peace, love, joy, and happiness to whatever part of the world, whatever time zone, whatever language, whatever state of mind that you are in. This is Pearl Osa, and this is Life of Interruptions. I want to thank you for being with me. I want to thank you for subscribing, for watching the videos, and for sharing, and for liking, and for hitting that notification bell, which is another way of giving you a hint that if you haven't, please go do so now. Okay, so this is August, it's Women's Month, and I'm going to try to bring content quite regularly on topical issues concerning women. As you know, I'm going into the top 50 selection for the Mrs. South Africa semifinals, which will be taking place on the 8th of August, and the announcement will come through on the 9th of August. So I will let you guys know how that goes. But in preparation for that, yes, there's been a lot of physical preparation, you know, the hair, the makeup, the clothes, and all that external stuff. But the most important preparation has been of the mind and of the spirit. And I've had to ask myself, you know, well, I mean, I know, but I think I've had to re-articulate it for myself to hear, because I would obviously have to express this to other people. And it's been the issue of, what is my why? Why am I doing this? And I realize this is such an important question for all walks of life, and I especially want to talk to women. Why do we do the things we do? What is our driving force? What's our reason for being? You know, there's a lot of talk about empowerment programs now, and it seems to be the buzzword, like when we say women empowerment. And I'm not really on that bandwagon, because I don't think that you can empower power. I think that we are an innately powerful people, group of people, creation, part of creation. I mean, we were that part of creation that the party couldn't start till we arrived. You know, God looked around, he was like, not good yet, even though he had said everything else was good. But till woman was made, there wasn't just the cherry on top of the cake. It wasn't good till we arrived. So we have that power within, the power to reinvent ourselves, the power to multitask, the power to bring increase and multiplication. It's innately within us. And the one thing that we struggle with the most is just a sense of self and of identity. We keep looking on the outside, many of us, not all of us, many of us keep looking on the outside for that affirmation, for that empowerment, for that sense of identity, and it's never going to come from the outside. There's so many dangers that come along with wanting it to come from the outside, because the person who names you is the person who controls you, is the person who has power over you, you know, is the person who owns you pretty much. And if someone's going to come and tell me who I am, then they can tell me the rest of the script. They can tell me, based on who I've said you are, then this is how you must be, this is how you must behave, this is when you must do what you must do. They control the times and seasons of our lives. And the only person we can give that power to ultimately is the Most High God. Nobody else gets to do that for you, to make, you know, decisions about the definition of self as you form and shape and mold whom God has made you to be. So I'm really just crying out to us in this season. This might not be a very long video. I just want to talk about the issue of identity and of having apprehended the reason for which you are apprehended, you know, coming into your cause, into your call, into your purpose. I've been doing homeschooling videos lately. You might have known, and if you don't, please follow me on Instagram. It's called 10 underscore Osas underscore school underscore at underscore home. So it's 10 Osas school at home, and between each word is an underscore. And I share some of these videos and thoughts also on Facebook. The bottom line is that you will shape the education you give to your children, whether homeschooled or not, on the basis of their calling and their identity. But we need to take one step back. So we're trying to tell children, this is who you are, this is who you are formed to be, and on the basis of your calling, this is the skill set that is required. This is the mindset that is required, and therefore your education needs to be tailored around building that mindset, building that skill set. How can you give what you don't have? How do we as parents begin to instill in our children that sense um, of purpose, of direction, when so many of us as adults must admit the truth is we're still trying to figure it out. Many of us don't know the why. Many of us are, we're like that hamster on the wheel, just going. We're pursuing the rat race. So if I look across and my neighbor's grass is this shade of green, then mine's going to be that shade of green. If they've painted their house this color, then I'm going to paint mine that color. If they've bought this car, I'm going to buy that car. Meanwhile, they're doing them and they're doing what is necessary for their assignment. I put out a post the other day and it said comparison is not only a thief of joy, but it's an insult to the God who made you and to the ones who chose you. Because there was a choice. They went to the supermarket, they looked on the shelf, they saw all of these other options. They saw you and they picked you. And then you now live your life trying to be all the options that they left behind on the shelf. I think it's very unfair. To them, I think it's an insult. To them, it's saying you've got no taste and you don't know how to choose. You made a bad choice and you're calling yourself a bad choice. So if there's anything in this Women's Month that we really need to be in pursuit of, hear me well. If there's one thing you need to be in pursuit of, it is self. I want to encourage a breed of women who begin to chase after themselves, who begin to woo themselves, who fall in love with themselves. Because in so doing, it's actually not a selfish thing. In so doing, it is bring the best version of yourself to the party. It's bring the best version of yourself to the table. And then that's what you offer. You offer people the best. You don't offer them leftovers. You don't offer them what is spent, I've had to do a lot of reflection on the number of things that I do and get involved in. The other day when I was doing one of the homeschooling videos, I then sent it to my mom to check out, and then she wrote back to me and she said, okay, so do you not have enough on your plate? Like, do you really need more? Why are you starting this homeschooling thing in addition to everything else that you do? And I've had to answer that question. Why the books? Why the music? Why the YouTube channel? Why now the Instagram thing? Homeschooling thing? Why the Mrs. South Africa thing? Why the philanthropy? The homeschool. People are like, why don't you send them to school? Why homeschool? Why take care of them yourself? Why not get help? And whatever else it is that I'm involved in, the ministries, etc. Why? And I've come to understand that because it's in me to do, it's made possible by the fueling of grace. It's there. I'm capable. We all are. The Bible says we can do all things. Now, the only thing I want to caution you about is that you can do all things. There are two additions. I won't call them qualifications because I cannot qualify the word of God. But there are two additions that I would put to that scripture based on how I've chosen to live my life. I can do all things in their due season. So I don't need to do all things at once. They don't need to all be done at the same time, number one. Number two, I can do all things within the context of my specific call. So it brings us back to understanding what was I called to do and to be and to contribute to this earth. Because the minute I step out of my lane and try and do all the things you're supposed to do just because you make it look so easy, you make it look so glamorous, I'm going to falter. I'm going to falter. I'm going to leave my station unmanned. I'm going to leave those who depend on me bereft of the help I'm supposed to bring. But the minute I accept the call, to do all the things that have been written in the book of my life to do, then it becomes possible. I look at some of the superpowers that we look to now and maybe we admire. And they're running conglomerates and they're running multinationals and they're getting involved in philanthropy across the seas and they're, controlling affairs in various nations. And I'm like, okay, what's the difference? Because it's the same set of 24 hours that we all get. They don't get more. The difference might be that they have more resources to employ more people. But the starting point was not there. The starting point was a determination to express the fullness of self. To say that when I die, I'm going to die empty. I'm going to do everything I was called to do and everything that is in me to do. If I can do it, if I have the gifts, I've got the talent, I've got the opportunity, I've got the resources, then I don't have an excuse. And even sometimes when you don't have the resources, if you've got the calling, you've got the gift, and there's that nudging in your spirit, resources will catch you along the way. You just start the journey. I think to myself, as a mom of 10 beautiful children, for now, I don't want these children to ever grow up and look at me and say, because we came, she stopped. She stopped living, she stopped being, she stopped thriving. I don't want them to think that they're the excuse. I don't want them to grow up and think, I'm not going to lean towards the Lord to know how many children I ought to have, because I looked at what that did to my mother's life, and it's not gonna cut it. I want to raise strong women who will look and say, if mommy could do it, and the God that she served, who enabled her, who called her, has not changed, is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then I can do it through him as well. I want my boys to be able to look at women in general and have a great sense of respect for all of the roles that we play, and to support and to lift us up. My husband said something really, really key, and you've heard him say it on the channel before. He said, I asked the Lord when I married you that our marriage will not be the excuse why you fail. And I had prayed the same thing concerning him. That, Lord, don't let me mess up with the good thing, mess with your manservant. But we were praying this prayers. So sometimes when I take on another assignment, which I believe I'm able to do, if I can't, then I won't. But when I take on an assignment and I get that sense that you're called to do this, it's yours to do. If not you, then who? And I pick it up, there is that consciousness at the back of my mind that I'm playing to an audience of one, being the Most High God. And his instructions to us were, occupy till I come. So he's going to come, and I'm going to have to show what my occupation yielded. Did I bury the talent, or did I take that one talent and yield 10 more from there? I'm going to have to play to an audience of another one, being my husband, who is, he's done everything he possibly could with the help of the Lord to ensure that I was supported, that I was encouraged, that I was equipped and capacitated, and helped basically to continue to thrive and be the best that I could be. Now, what excuse do you give when someone is like, God wants you to do this, I'm going to support you to do it. I'll put down anything that needs to be done to help you do it. I will change a diaper so you can do it, if that's the case. I will put a bottle in the baby's mouth for every 2-hour feed, if that's going to enable you to do that. What excuse then do you have? But then finally, I play to an audience of these 10 individuals who I just don't want them growing up making excuses themselves, And there really is no excuse, but it all stems from, and it all starts from an understanding of what I have been called to do, and making that distinction between my assignment and the assignment next door. Now, if I get any involvement in the assignment next door, it is simply because I have a piece to contribute, not to take over, not to mimic. I must just bring my contribution to the party. And I expect that contribution to come from the other side, because the Bible says we see in part and we prophesy in part. So there will be some parts that I don't see, that I can't do, that I can't accomplish. And those parts were given to my sister to do. Those parts were given to my brother to do, to my husband to do, to my child to do, to my mother to do. I've got to learn to have the humility to ask for help and to draw on others who have what I don't have. My husband often tells me the story of Michael Jackson, who used to call some African, I can't remember the name of the guy, but an African dancer, and he would call him over and be like, just have a dance party, just dance, and watch him dance and dance and dance, with the intention of taking this guy's dance moves. So a lot of the steps that Michael was doing were apparently from this guy, and history apparently has recorded this. I wasn't really a Michael fan, so I wouldn't know the story. But anywho, he never got to that point where he's like, yo, I am the Michael Jackson, like who can teach me what? Apparently there's many other artists who continue to do that. They would call dancers from Africa, and they would come over and show them the latest dance steps and teach them, do choreography for them, etc. So we need to know our boundaries and our capabilities. And when you know that, when you know where you start and where you end, and recognize where the other person starts and ends, within your context, it is going to appear that you're doing all things, that you're doing many things, that you're handling many things. No, you're handling many aspects of the same assignment. That's it. You're doing one thing. And that one thing is possible for you to do and do well. The challenge, therefore, is to figure out what is your one thing. What is your passion? What is your call? People often say, how do I identify the area of my calling? One way to identify it is the area in which you feel the most agitation. The area in which you look and you see this lack in the world. For some people, they would look at the hungry, and that would really, really, really eke them. And then you know that they have a ministry to cater to those people. And for someone else, it's like you can just drive on by and it doesn't do anything to you. But if you came across a victim of abuse or abandonment, now that would set you off. And you could be busy feeling guilty about not having emotions triggered in one area, not knowing it's not necessarily your call. None of our fingers are equal, you see. Short, medium, tall, they're made that way on purpose, but none of them is useless. You lose one finger, then all of a sudden you'll know the value of each finger to the entire pack or to the entire hand. So I don't want to make this a long video. I do hope to be able to come back more frequently, guys. You need to please, number one, forgive me, and number two, hang in there and pray with me and support me and vote for me, please, for this assignment, this extension to my life of interruptions, to be the next Mrs. South Africa 2020. And at this rate, you guys, with COVID, I don't even know if it's 2020 or 2021 or I don't know what's going on. So we are going for the top 50, as I said, this weekend, the 8th and 9th of August. There'll be 50 of us left in the competition. And then in November, there'll be 25 of us left in the competition. And November was originally supposed to be when the Queen should be crowned, but we can't meet anywhere. We can't have a physical pageant, so we are having to drag it on. In other nations, in other competitions, I know Mrs. Universe, I think it is, has just extended the reign of the current queen for another 12 months. See life, right? And other pageants are going completely virtual. So we'll see what happens along the way. But as it stands now, the queen will be crowned in February of 2021. So I will keep you posted. When I'm silent, it's because of all of the running around this, It really isn't about looks and hair and beauty. It really is, as one would term it, an empowerment program. But it's a program that has really stretched me, taught me new things, and pulled so much out of me. So I hope to use the power of the sash and the power of the platform, not a pedestal, but a platform, to kind of advance this message, to let people know that women particularly, know that we are powerful beyond our wildest dreams, that we are not seeking empowerment, so to speak. The concept of seeking empowerment worries me because the minute someone empowers you, as I said, they own you, and it opens the door for so much. If I come to you in a company and you are empowering me to be able to get employed, to get a promotion, to get a tender, sometimes what then follows is that there has to be an exchange because you empowered me, and sometimes that exchange is of a sexual nature because I feel so disempowered and so dependent and so desperate. So you would tell me that I need to sleep my way to the top or sleep my way into the organization, and I don't know how to say no to that because I believe you have the power. And we need to change that narrative. You find people staying in extremely abusive relationships because Remember, they have no power. They can't step out, live a life of their own. There's nothing they can do. They cannot be economically viable on their own. They're dependent on this man for the very air that they breathe. And so he will beat the air out of them till the next time we see them, it's 6 feet under. But it's this concept of thinking, I have no power within, it lies with someone else. And if you just get a sense of who you are, what you've been called to do, and the power that is available to you to accomplish that, you become, the way my husband phrases it, he says, ruthless with distraction. Whether that distraction is an abusive mate, a sinful relationship, compromised situation in order to accomplish that. I cannot compromise myself to do or to receive from you what God has already given to me. Impossible. You're not the one giving it to me. You might be a conduit, and if you abuse that position and that power, guess what? He'll raise another. But I'm not. My back does not have to touch the floor for me to get through you what comes from someone else. All power belongs to Jesus. All power belongs to Jesus. That's what the Bible that I read says. So I belong to Jesus, and I am power. I'm his. I'm in his hands, and I am an expression of power. If I'm gonna do anything in this Women's Month, I think I'm gonna keep punting this one message, and I hope that the men folk in our midst do not feel left out, but rather just encouraged to look at us from a different perspective and to harness that power, and to encourage us to activate that power and to be the husbandmen. A farmer does not have the power of the soil. No matter what he does, he cannot be the collective power of soil and all that it contains to bring forth a harvest. He can water it, he can till it, but he can never be the power in the soil. And that's what a husband is called to be. A husbandman will then, water and till and prune and care for and cultivate the land, but he will never be the land. So your power is of God, and it is innate, and it was put in you at creation, and you need not apologize for it, but you must learn to identify it, identify the cause for which it was given to you, harness it, apply it, and contain it. That's the thing with power. If it's not tamed, you could cause a wildfire that will destroy families and nations and generations. So the challenge to you then is to manage that power in meekness and humility. Those are two different things. To be meek is to submit to the fact that not only you are great, but that every other creation is made equally great. I always say concerning this pageant that I'm not less than the other contestants. I'm not less beautiful, less accomplished, less whatever it might be. Neither am I more than any of them. I'm not more beautiful, not more accomplished, not more resourced, none of that. And here's the other thing, neither am I equal. I'm not equal to anybody. I'm completely different, right? So to just understand that difference and to walk in it, that diversity and the power of God to express his multifaceted self in 8 billion people, and none of them being the same, none of the fingerprints being the same. What a God that is. So we've come to the end of this first episode of this Women's Month theme, and I just want to encourage you to awaken that potential power that lays within and convert it to kinetic energy and go. So may the Lord keep you, bless you, cause his face to shine upon you. Love you much, love you plenty. See you soon.